welcome to another episode of We Love to Talk About Exciting Subjects in Science, Medicine, Robotics, Astronomy, Futuristic Ideas, Music, or anything interesting in the news. So let's get into it. Did you know in the news? Lab owner convicted in $463 million genetic testing scheme to defraud Medicare. A federal jury in the Southern District of Florida convicted a Georgia man today, for his role in the scheme to defraud Medicare by submitting over $463 million in genetic and other laboratory tests that patients did not need and that were procured through the payment of kickbacks. According to the court's documents and evidence presented at trial, Manay Patel, 44 of Atlanta, owned Lab Solutions, LLC, a lab enrolled with Medicare that performed sophisticated genetic tests. Patel conspired with patient brokers, telemedicine companies, and call centers to target Medicare beneficiaries with telemarketing calls falsely stating that Medicare covered expensive cancer genetic tests. After the Medicare beneficiaries agreed to take the test, Patel paid kickbacks and bribes to patient brokers to obtain signed doctor orders authorizing the tests from telemedicine companies. To conceal the kickbacks, Patel required patient brokers to sign contracts that falsely stated that they were performing legitimate advertised services for Lab Solutions. The telemarketing doctors approved the expensive testing, even though they were not treating the beneficiaries and often did not even speak to them. From July 2016 through August 2019, Lab Solutions submitted more than $463 million in claims to Medicare, including the medically unnecessary genetic tests, of which Medicare paid over $187 million. In that time frame, Patel personally received over $21 million in Medicare proceeds. Patel was convicted of one count of conspiracy to commit health fraud and wire fraud, 3 counts of healthcare fraud, 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States and to pay and receive illegal healthcare kickbacks, 4 counts of paying illegal healthcare kickbacks, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. He is scheduled to be sentenced on March 7, 2023, and faces a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison on the first conspiracy count, 10 years on each healthcare fraud count, 5 years on the second conspiracy count, 10 years on each kickback count, and 20 years on the third conspiracy count. A federal district court judge will determine any sentence after considering the U.S. sentencing guidelines and other statutory factors.
We've been working on this story for months. It involves an Atlanta lab accused of illegally charging vulnerable patients for genetic tests, and a local patient who questions whether her doctor was a part of the fraud.
Hey, is there anyone from the Patel family you can send out? Okay, you're covering the windows. Have a good one.
This is Lab Solutions, an Atlanta-based center for blood and DNA testing. Our attempts to get to this man, the lab owner named Manal Patel, failed.
Do you manage anything here?
Do not. I just work here.
You just work here?
Yeah, they want you guys to leave.
It happened months after we started our investigation into a local patient's complaint about the lab's expensive DNA testing.
I don't know what they're doing, but what they're doing is not legal and is not right.
Let's rewind to June when Alethea Brown called Clark Howard's Consumer Action Center about a huge medical claim no one would explain to her.
You're not gonna explain nothing? You're not gonna tell me about it? And we talking about money?
Brown was a patient of East Point psychiatrist Dr. Eddie Beal. Days after she went in for a prescription refill, she found this explanation of benefits online. Her insurance company warning her a portion of a genetic test would cost her nearly $11,000. Local doctors told us that's 2 to 3 times more expensive than it should be.
That's surprising to me, $10,000.
We reviewed a copy of the consent form for the test through Brown's insurance records.
It's obvious a 3-year-old can see that it's wrong.
Brown's name is spelled wrong. A signed signature on file serves as the consent. It looks just like the handwriting used to sign for the doctor. Bill's office staff originally wrote off Brown's complaint, saying the test was explained to her. Hopefully you understand that mental health patients sometimes misreport information to gain an audience, they wrote.
I think it's disrespectful.
Bill's office went on to blame the signature on a Lab Solutions tech. Lab Solutions says Bill's office filled out the form.
This brings alarm to me. It says signature on file. That shouldn't be. A patient should sign each and every time they are getting lab testing done.
This is Cheryl Thompson, a now former Lab Solutions scientist. We brought Thompson in to review Brown's paperwork and to tell us more about August 16th, the day the FBI raided the lab.
Many people burst through the doors and told us to put our hands up.
She lost her job soon after.
No explanation, no anything.
Weeks later, this federal indictment accusing Patel of using telephonic doctors to order unnecessary tests on vulnerable patients.
What do you think's going on here?
I think it's full of crap. I think I'm being used and abused, and I think this is against the Bill of Rights, the patient's Bill of Rights.
We're concerned just like you.
When we couldn't reach Dr. Beal directly about the Lab Solutions order for Alethea Brown, we headed into his office.
What's your position here?
Just his daughter.
Just his daughter. Office manager, spokesperson,
just the
speaking
person
on
who
his
came
behalf.
out and saw the news here, and I'm like, why are y'all here? I know my daddy didn't get any kickback from this.
She said they'd audit to see whether Lab Solutions techs signed other patients without their consent, but stood by their claim that Brown knew what the test was for.
Have the feds ask you guys any questions about the test, the particular test?
Not yet, and I hope they don't.
A couple of important notes here. Our story has launched a state insurance fraud investigation into what happened at Dr. Beal's office. Brown is no longer responsible for her bill. Lab Solutions dropped their claim against her as we began to wrap this story, and they were ordered by the feds to shut down. Even in their letter dismissing her debt, they got the dates wrong on when they say she consented to the test.